Tim Santos, not yet. Councilmember Mike Lara.
Here.
Thank you, sir. City Manager Todd Parton, not yet. Economic Development Kyle is not going to be here today. Monir Ahmed.
Not yet.
Good to see you, Monir. Bernie Bland, I'm here. Bertha Barraza, I don't recall what they said, if she was coming this time or not. Member Evan Brown is not here. Alan, I don't see Alan. Rob Moran,
Here.
welcome back.
Back.
Thank you, sir. Betty Rader, not here. Kimberly Stars.
Here.
Thank you, Kimberly. Karen Wheat.
Here.
Thank you, Karen. And the Beaumont Unified School District student is still vacant. Okay, so at this time, you guys can stand and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. Face the flag. Ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Any approval or adjustments to the agenda that we need to make note of?
None.
Nothing? And conflict of interest disclosures? Nothing? Public comment, seeing nobody in attendance. Go ahead and move on to action item number 2.
Question.
Public. Yes, sir.
Do we have a quorum though?
7, right? 1, 2,
I got-
4, 5, 6.
So
7.
We've got, there's 8, or there's 15 if you include the student member, right?
correct.
And we're 4, we're 6.
I wasn't sure if they counted Kyle on there because he's listed on there as well, so I didn't know if I made the 7th person or not.
Right.
Since I'm
Can
sitting
we
on
have
Kyle.
you counted as Kyle? If you're not,
It's a good question.
Kyle's, when I emailed Kyle today to let him know I needed to leave at 4:30, he said that you would be sitting in for him. Let me see.
Other than approval of the minutes, I don't know that we have any action items, so I think it would be up to the committee whether or not you wanted to proceed with anything, or if you want to wait and see if we have someone else that shows up, or if you just wanted to call the meeting. So I would defer to the committee on your preference there, but other than the minutes, there are no action items.
So why don't we just move to approve the minutes at the next meeting when we have a quorum?
we could do that and then just discuss. The only thing we can't do, as I understand it, please correct me if I'm wrong, but we just wouldn't be able to take action on like the minutes, so we could postpone that. But we could
Okay.
still have open discussion in regards to Economic Development Committee.
I like that.
Yeah, we're here, so
Yeah.
might as
Good
well.
deal. All right, then we'll move forward with that, and we'll hold off on approval of the minutes from last month's meeting. Everybody's good with that?
Yeah.
Good deal. All right, then we will move on to update of projects from city staff.
Hi.
Aye.
Christina Taylor, Community Development Director, here sitting in on behalf of Kyle Warsinski and Mr. Parton, because they're both previously engaged other places today. So anyway, I don't get to sit in here much, and I know Kyle does give you guys some overview on things that are going on in the city, but I thought maybe since I'm here, I could talk a little bit about the things that we have going on in the Community Development Department. And then if you had any questions about things specific, I'm happy to answer the questions if I can, or gather information and bring it back to you guys at another meeting if that's what needs to be done.
Well, thank you for coming.
Sure, my pleasure. So city projects, or projects that are going on right now, the main one that you probably hear about and see about is down in the San Gorgonio Village area, 2nd Street between 1st and 2nd, Commerce Way, Highland Springs area over there, west of the Sonic, and that is well underway, and we have some good tenants that are submitting their applications to be in there. That's not really a new one, that's just one that we see now they're visibly moving dirt. We have some projects that will be coming forth to the Planning Commission, the City Council, a little further down the road. No new residential, surprisingly, as far as single-family residential goes. All of the tracts that are building right now are previously entitled, existing tracts that are either building out or that will resume activity after some period of dormancy. We have several little retail, restaurant, gas station type centers that will be coming. Two of those are on the west end up near Oak Valley and Desert Lawn Parkway. One of them is across from the existing Chevron, like where the Chevron and the Sand Trap is over there. It's across from that area, and we have another one that's going to be on a little sliver of land at Oak Valley and Desert Lawn Parkway. Surprisingly, there was some habitat land on that property, and so it's taken them a little longer than we thought to get through that process, but they are currently finishing up the review through the Conservation Authority as is required for their environmental document, and then we'll be able to bring them out. We've had a little bit of activity on the Fairway Canyon commercial piece. So that area over by south side of the freeway, adjacent to the golf course. So part of that's in the specific plan area, and then part of it is just a community commercial piece of land. And we're starting to see some interest on that. And that's sort of a longer term thing that will come both to Planning Commission and City Council. And as we get further along down the road with that, we'll bring more information to you guys as well. Trying to think if there's anything else noteworthy. We have some of you might be familiar with the veterans apartments that Link Housing did that just opened up this last summer. Link Housing is bringing another similar type development on 6th Street here in our overlay area, 6th and Allegheny in that area. Another 42-unit complex. It'll be supportive housing and services for the residents that occupy there, and that's getting ready to go to the Planning Commission. Hi.
Come on in.
So we have some further down the road, much larger scale interest in developing some of the county sphere of influence areas that we have. But like I said, those are much further down the road in the very conceptual stages, and those will be going through much public outreach and communication with all levels of city staff and the different committees and commissions that would have any interest in those things. So sort of a quick recap for you. If you have any questions about anything that you see or hear, I'm happy to entertain those for you.
Did you say those gas stations were approved already, or?
They'll be going to Planning Commission this month. So we've got one going, I believe, on the 28th, and then we'll have another one that will be going June 11th, if they get their habitat stuff wrapped up in time to meet the noticing requirements for that.
What was there? What was the habitat, do you know?
So it was, they had some water that was flowing through there, and with that comes some, I believe, plant life, and I think they may have had some.
Some kind of reptile or something?
Yes, and now I can't recall offhand because I've read like 3 of these documents in the last 30 days. So, but
That's okay.
and I know they're finishing up with that with RCA. The other ones have been cleared through and are out for public review, which those documents are on the city's website right now.
So, with the development that are happening, nowadays, especially for both residential and business communities, connectivity is a major issue, right? It turns out that we only have Frontier that covers most of the service areas.
Okay.
Have you heard anything? Is there any conversation about anybody else coming in?
So I haven't heard directly. I know there's a lot going on in the technology world with the microcell sites and with 5G and with a lot of the cell service providers being able to now provide Wi-Fi or things along those lines. As far as anyone other than Frontier coming into the city, from a franchise perspective, I haven't heard anything specifically about that. I know the city manager's office is very interested in the connectivity. I think council has expressed some interest in making sure that we have access. You know, everybody has internet or broadband access throughout the city, but that's sort of a large scale process to make sure that you can get that citywide.
I wonder if our chamber partners would have any insight into that, because I think what I found out is the Wi-Fi providers and so forth, they are more of a 1-2 line phone if you are doing cell and so forth. The heavy data-driven businesses, they're not sustainable, they won't provide you that services.
Right.
And any other provider, they wouldn't come in unless they have at least, I believe at least 6 customers. Which is not a lot. I myself has been exploring because the service quality has been very, not quite up to par. If in my business, if I don't have data access, I'm out of business. And in the last year, I had at least 3 days that I had full staff, everything scheduled, nobody can do nothing. It's not the best way to sustain a business.
No, the chamber doesn't have any knowledge.
Lead,
but
no knowledge.
We'll look into it.
If we could circle back for a minute just to make note that member Betty Rader and Evan Brown did show up. So that should put us at having a quorum now. And Christina, were you going to be taking minutes in place of Kyle?
I am also taking minutes, yes.
Okay, good deal, thank you. All right, so if you guys get a minute while she's going over projects, update from projects and city staff, feel free to review the minutes from last month's meeting if you haven't done so already, so that we can get approval of those minutes.
Okay.
All right. Does any of the committee have any other questions for Christina? No questions? I'm sorry, I forgot your name.
Sorry.
Ray Santos. Mayor Ray Santos, thank you, bro. All right, let the minutes reflect that Mayor Pro Tem Ray Santos is present, and we can move on. Did anybody have any other questions for Christina? No questions? All right, if we can get approval of the minutes from the April 10th meeting?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes for the April 10th meeting.
I'll second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor?
Hi.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? One abstain. All in favor? Ayes have it. Thank you. And move on to 2C, general plan update.
Just another brief update for you. So the city's general plan update is well underway. We are anticipating completion of the new general plan first quarter of 2020. So little less than a year from now, we should be done with it. Anticipate seeing some of the documents coming through at the staff level any day now. While the traffic studies, air, noise, all of the stuff at the high level citywide is being wrapped up. Policies are being finalized, and so we'll start to see the documents come through our office. And then later, as we get down towards late summer, early fall, I think we should be seeing some draft versions that would be out for circulation to the public and to Planning Commission, open for comments and things like that, and then wrapping it up after the new year with City Council.
Any questions on the general plan update from the committee? Seeing none, move on to item D, discussion of economic development committee goals. Short-term, long-term goals, objective, vision statement. Does anybody have anything they'd like to discuss on the committee goals?
Just as a note, I'll offer for the committee, the economic development strategic plan that Kyle's been working very diligently on. I believe we have received a preliminary draft version at the staff level for him to start reviewing to see what the consultants have prepared based on all the meetings and data that they had and gathered. So I anticipate that you'll be hearing something from him about that probably in the near future.
All right, good. Thank you. Does anybody else have any questions there? Comments? Nothing? All right, committee goals, we can go over them. I think if we didn't have any discussion based on them, we would move on to item 2, right? Discussion of committee member tasks, attraction and retention program, Partner with Chamber to provide resources to business, intro to new business program, summer internship. Did anybody have anything to discuss on those items?
The chamber has, in a broad way, started working with Kyle on we become aware of businesses that are in trouble, that are struggling. And Kyle has resources and information that can help these businesses. So if one of the things that we would like to do with Kyle, and we do meet with Kyle and Ashley like every 6 weeks, to develop a stronger plan in that area. We find out when we go to renew our membership who's struggling.
Okay.
And so we'd like to work more strongly with Kyle in helping some of those businesses hopefully survive.
That's good to hear. Does anybody else have anything?
Yeah, Bernie, I would just say on the summer internship program, I'm not sure what that means or looks like, but the school district would be very interested in helping and partnering and trying to get our kids into internships. That's kind of a direction that we have at the district right now, along with the World of Work initiatives that we're rolling out. We're really looking at ways to get our students trained in a capacity that they're not spending $40,000, $50,000 a year at a university. So,
What is the World of Work initiative?
that's a long story.
Is it?
It's essentially an initiative that will be rolling out next year, connecting students with their strengths, interests, and values to careers that match their aptitudes.
Cool. That's good to hear.
The chamber has always been interested in internships. We spoke with the school district probably a year and a half ago. It never seemed to gel. We also spoke with Mount San Jacinto. They seemed really excited about it, but then it didn't go anywhere either.
Right,
so these internships seem to, but we would be good for office type internships. Would be interested in working with that.
Can I ask you questions on that, on the student internship? Do you, I don't know, this is my second time in here. On the internship, I'm really interested on the kids. When I say kids, I mean, are we looking on the 11th grade or 12th grade to do internship, or on sophomore?
Yeah, so our ed code and work experience law requires them to be 16 years old or older. So
Okay.
it could be students in the summer of their sophomore or junior year, but primarily juniors and seniors.
Very good. I mean, can we, on the business side and everything, coordinate with you, with the Chamber of Commerce to post that? I mean, can we do that right away on around January? So when we approach that, I mean, we could have some applicants and everything?
Absolutely.
When I say we, I mean the city and the business.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
And is there any criteria on that? I mean, that you're looking for? I mean, or you're open on the students?
Yeah, some of these things fail because no one's at the helm to kind of direct it and connect businesses with
It's always like
students.
that.
Right. And so we're doing some restructuring in the school district where we're hoping to find somebody who can lead that effort. And so
Okay.
it might be easier in a few months once we kind of finish that work. But yeah, absolutely, we're interested in getting kids out into our local businesses. They stay here after they graduate. We want them to be trained and be excellent workers here in the community. So.
Okay.
So along that line of thinking, one idea that might be helpful for small businesses who may not be like people like me, not be as familiar as to how these things work, is if we can provide some definition of, let's say if I were to put a program together, what would I need to do or I am not able to do to take an intern, right? Some businesses are very savvy, they know, others may not, but may be interested in helping out. And also there are some criteria that you may want them to see what may constitute a paid versus unpaid internship, because there's some legal requirements. So those guidelines, some are available, even if it's on the website. I think it will be very helpful for the businesses. The other idea of maybe a little expansion of the internship program is maybe it's not always just an internship or not, but it could be a tool to a business to entice some of these youth to say, oh yeah, that's something that I want to explore more. Right? Internship would mean I'm committed, I'm going to be an electrician or I'm going to be a bank teller, right? Versus I'm not sure what I want to be. So those tools could facilitate saying, I like that, maybe I want to know more about it.
So it sounds like we need to define some parameters
Right.
for the program. So identifying businesses that would be interested in maybe a shadowing type situation initially to expose kids that maybe haven't been exposed to things, to see if they'd be interested, and then looking at some businesses or groups that might be interested in hosting either unpaid or paid internships, depending on what we're talking about.
But the thing is on the internship, just to follow up on that, I mean, if we do really active on the community, like, some of the big companies coming up and then small companies in here, that we could, promote that we're looking for this kind of, internship on their company within the city, coming from the city, and also with the Chamber of Commerce. That would be nice to connect with them.
Right.
So I don't know if you've done that in this Economic Development Committee, and that would be nice to have somebody will lead that to to approach those companies. So when we the cycle is kind of late right now, and we start on January, February, talking to those companies, and then they open up, and then we could open with your school district to get the candidates to be intern on that particular companies. That's my my 2 cents on that. Just to follow up on what he's talking about on the criteria and everything.
And there is criteria. It's all written in Ed Code, which is, our law that we follow, and I can bring that and share that as we
Great.
go. It's very well defined on paid interns versus non-paid interns, at least for school age students.
Speaking of students, do you know if there was a update on the vacant seat for the student that was gonna sit on the committee?
Oh, I don't.
No? Okay. I don't know if Terrence was gonna take care of that or if Kyle was working with someone, but it might be something to keep in mind. I think we wanted to have a student on the committee as well.
So I don't want to belabor the point, but I think, how do you let the businesses know? How do we recruit them? How do we?
Yeah, that's the thing that I just said. That I mean, if we could do it now, I mean, promote now and approach those every companies we have in here, that would be great. I mean, next year will be a brighter, future for us. So for the kids, I mean, when I say for the kids, we got the, hospitals and clinics and everything, and we have the, the oranges thing in there. We got the CJ in there and everything in there. For sure, they'll be happy to have our kids to be working on their side.
I know Chamber has a very good listserv. They communicate very regularly. I don't know if city, community development, or any other area has anything. So if we had a flyer, if we had criteria, I'm sure our chamber partners will be happy to send it out so that our businesses get to see what's out there is what.
Just like the job fair
Yeah.
that's coming out, it's on the Chamber's website and on our email blast and Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. So we would get it out. Now, we do focus a lot on the members of the Chamber rather than community-wide. Community-wide would be more for the city's website. But, to use every kind of conceivable messaging system you have is obviously best. We've got the job fair that's coming up. It would probably be similar to that. Find out who might have places for interns and then go from there.
So with the school's World to World program and the chamber, throughout the next months, we could potentially come up with some type of system that will allow them to connect the dots. So that can be an item for future agenda or just in addition to the summer internship programs. And let the minutes reflect that member Alan showed up. Good to see you, Alan. All right. So we're already towards the end there and on to topics for future agenda. Did anybody else have anything to discuss on those committee member tasks before we move on? Seeing none, you guys want to discuss the topics for the future agendas? Anybody have anything out of those 10 items that they'd like to discuss? I think we briefly went over them last month, and I don't know that there was a ton of discussion or anything to come up for these next ones, but does anybody have anything?
May I ask for a clarification? I'm sorry I missed last month's meeting, so when the intro was. The intro to new business program, what, anybody remember, what's more about it? What is it? This chamber does something like that, is why I'm asking. The door opening, reopening and so forth.
I think it was just an item that Kyle was keeping on there so that we can make sure that we did have something for intro to new businesses so that we could utilize whatever we were gonna come up with to help new businesses in the area.
Kyle does have a program, it's rather loosely based, of bringing new businesses in the area together. Last month, he had one at the new craft beer
Okay.
place, which was very nice. And it was very well attended. I wasn't being negative, and I thought, well, I don't know how many people are going to come to this, but we probably had 35 to 40 people that attended. And so they were all new businesses, people that were starting businesses, people that were thinking of starting businesses. So he has a very good base, and it's rather loosely structured, but it's well attended, and it was very beneficial. There was a tremendous amount of networking. So he's kind of already started that. He's got a lot of these things that are on this list kind of started in a loosely based situation. So I think he's had 3 or 4 around those topics, and they've been very well attended.
Thank you.
Any questions on any of the other items? Seeing none, we move on to committee reports. If anybody has anything relevant to the group and would like to report on them, we can go ahead and start with Mr. Lara.
Just so that everyone knows, last night we discussed the status of the Oak Valley Parkway lights. I know everybody's anxious to know about that. As I understand it, we had an inspection by Edison. We had submitted a plan. They're reviewing the plan. And so right now the hangup appears to be with Edison at this point and having them make decisions on which way that they want the city to move with the light standards. So at least we have something that it's not just a stagnant project that's sitting out there, that nothing is going on. It is an Edison issue at this point, and the city's continuing to pursue that. So I just wanted to make sure everybody was aware of that. The other thing is we did approve a new waste management contract, yesterday's meeting. Rates will continue to remain the same. Nothing will change for the citizens of Beaumont as far as the pickup days. Your trash days will be the same. You'll still have the 2 large days that you can have the large items. One of the things that will change is for commercial businesses. They're going to offer more of a pickup that will suit the business and better suit the business. So they'll have a selection of 3 options with different size bins, which will also indicate or dictate what your monthly service rate will be, so that it's more of a custom fit for the business. The goal there is to, with everything that's going on with the state mandates and recycling becoming a bigger issue and a state mandated requirement, businesses are going to be required to recycle more of their waste. And so there'll be, I think, 3 bins is the typical, and then the sizes will vary based on the business based on business needs. So I think that was the contract that we signed, that we agreed to yesterday. I think was going to be very beneficial for the city in the long run, as well as its constituents. There'll be more coming out on that, but I did want you all to be aware that there is a new contract that has been signed. I think it starts in July of 2019. There'll be education is wrapped up into the contract. We'll have a dedicated person to answering questions in regards to recycling, the new state laws that are coming out, educating the businesses directly, and working with businesses to help, again, find a waste plan that fits the need. What else do we have last night? Do you remember? The city is also working with, we had a special meeting with the Beaumont Cherry Valley Water District. We're working with them on an MOU. It is not a contract, it's an MOU to develop a contract with waste, to take our wastewater recycling, or recycled wastewater, excuse me, have Beaumont Cherry Valley take that and use that to where it helps City of Beaumont and the surrounding areas. And so we are working on that. I think that's something else that's good to know, that we are working with other agencies to benefit the citizens of Beaumont. So, and that meeting is, I think, is the first of its kind with that jurisdiction or that agency. So that was a really good meeting to have. And we'll continue to work on the MOU until we develop a contract that we can share with the city.
Thank you for that.
Mm-hmm.
Pat? Rob?
Yeah, just real quick, there's on Friday, June 7th, from I think it's 10 to 1:30, there's an I-10 Economic Summit. I don't know if it's been discussed here before, but it's going to be at Morongo, and our county supervisor is one of the speakers, Jeff Hewitt, Roger Schultz, I think from Mount San Jacinto, I think the Senate Minority Leader or something like that. A private group is organizing this thing, so.
At Morongo, you said?
Yes, yeah, and I think the chair with tribal council is going to speak, so I think there's some regional efforts afoot, so I just want to mention that. We're sponsoring it, see how it goes, and we'll be present, of course, so.
It's on the chamber website if anybody wants to see the flyer under the date.
Thank you, Rob. Mr. Brown, anything?
No, I'd just say we're winding down the school district and try not to be on Brookside Avenue on June 6th. That's graduation.
Thank you. Betty?
Yeah, the chamber's starting to organize and get ready for their State of the City, which is going to be August 15th. It's a luncheon at the Lodge at Four Seasons. Kind of going along with item number 4 here and the topics for future agenda. We do give awards for beautification. That would be new construction, would be remodeling on the inside or the outside of a building. So if anyone has any suggestions of businesses that we could put into the pool to see who might want to be recognized for that, I would be appreciative of that. And then moving on a long ways into the future, but we are looking for a Citizen of the Year for 2020. So if anyone has anyone they want to nominate for that, I would also entertain those suggestions. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Good Morning Beaumont is in the morning,
Where?
Friday.
Friday. at
Tuckwit.
Tuckwit.
Waste Management is the speaker.
Good deal. Thank you. Kimberly?
Real quick, we just wrapped up tax season, as we all know, and United Way is one of the partners working with the state of California on the Earned Income Tax Credit and California Earned Income Tax Credit. Riverside County is has one of the largest populations to claim the Earned Income Tax Credit in the state of California. So it's a really important piece of work to help drive economic growth for our citizens. So it's not just businesses, but it's citizens in our community. It's typically in about the $80 million range for County Riverside for citizens. So it is a massive driver of economic kind of mobility for residents in the community. So we're really excited. We met with a lot of people, got the word out to a lot of people, but we're always looking to do more and to do better. So when that program comes around next year, we'd love some opportunities to maybe hold some forums in this region. I think this region is typically underserved with getting that information out to people who qualify. And the parameters have increased. You can make more money than you could in the past and still claim the EITC and also Cal EITC. So it's not just for people that make $25,000 and under anymore. The income limits are up to $65,000 a year for a family of 4. So it really is a fantastic tool. And there are free tax preparation sites for people who qualify for earned income tax credits. You don't need to pay $250, $300 to get your taxes prepared. And then pay for those high fee debit cards because you can't pay your $300 fees. I mean, just kind of that cycle that goes on. It kind of impoverishes people that are already in a bad situation. So if you have questions about that, I'd be happy to answer them maybe after the meeting because I know Bernie's got to get out of here.
Good, very good. Well, thank you. Mayor Santos.
Yeah, just like to interject what Councilman, Laura mentioned about the, the waste management agreement we made, especially on the, I'm more on the commercial side, on the collections of the, on the waste, on that will be flexible of, on a weekly basis. The company could, do a once or twice a week for the commercial. I mean, because I know we're growing, and there will be a lot of companies in here doing that in here. And then the nice thing on this contract that I didn't discuss much, I mean, is I think I mentioned that on the meeting is the we don't weigh the the can or the container by weight. What they're doing is, regardless of the weight and everything, you have one set of fees on that, which is very, very good for our commercial companies on that. I'm really happy about that because in other cities, other counties, they go by weights. They go by tons and everything. When they your container and everything, they lifted it, and there's a weight in there. So there will be a lot of cost for the commercial people. So I'm glad that the waste management didn't go in there. They go by when you fill in whatever weight you have. There's still one set of fees in there. That's about it.
Good deal. Thank you for that. Ellen? Nothing? All right, guys. So we're still good. I don't know, typically we would go dark maybe in July, but we're still good for June? Everybody still good for June 12th meeting, 4 p.m.?
No, this is May. We're in. What month is it? Who am I?
Yeah, we're
Moving quickly.
good deal, guys. All right, then we'll meeting adjourned at 4:37, and we'll see you guys next month.
Thank you.
You're almost on time. Look at you.
Almost.
So close, right now.